Hello, my name is Krista Osteen, and I'm in my third semester of the Unified Elementary Pro-Teach program. Through this inquiry, I wanted to find out if there were any online vocabulary and comprehension games that I could use in a second grade classroom to enhance comprehension strategy instruction. This inquiry began while I was in my practicum placement in a second grade class. I was listening to some of the second graders read, and I noticed when they came to a word they did not recognize, they would guess a word that began with the same letter and move on. They didn't even check to make sure if the word made sense in the sentence. My rationale for this inquiry was the importance of comprehension and vocabulary instruction to the Common Core. I know the new Common Core standards emphasize reading for meaning, but I wasn't sure how I could make these strategies fun and worthwhile. That's when I developed my wondering. I wondered, how can I use interactive games to enhance vocabulary and comprehension strategy instruction for second grade students? And also, how do I find interactive online games that link to the Common Core? To get to know the comprehension of these students on a better level, I listened to them read a story and viewed scores they received on a comprehension and vocabulary test. The story they read turned out to be much like the passage I had heard them read before I started the inquiry. They missed many words and didn't go back to check if the words made sense in the sentence. Also, they scored low on their comprehension and vocab test. As you can see, my data sources included class observations from my preliminary data, online journals, advice from my ProTeach reading teacher, online game trials, and critical feedback on a lesson plan I created. I found 3 online journals that gave me an idea of how to focus my inquiry. I found 3 online journals that gave me an idea of how to focus my inquiry. I took the information from the articles and came up with 3 qualities online interactive comprehension strategy and vocabulary instruction games should have. I also sent an email to Dr. Gallagher, who teaches the reading courses for primary and intermediate grades. I asked her if she was aware of any quality comprehension games for second grade, and she sent me a small list. I did some research on games using Google, and I looked into the games sent by Dr. Gallagher, which also came up in my search. These games included Starfall, Super Y on PBS Kids, Ticket to Read, and ABC. I played a few to see if they were what I was looking for. Starfall, ABC, and Super Y on PBS Kids had mostly phonics and fluency games. Ticket to Read did involve comprehension. My last data source was the critical feedback I received from my peers on a lesson plan I had developed using the game I found that met the qualities I was looking for in an online, interactive, comprehension strategy and vocabulary instruction game. This game turned out to be Ticket to Read. The objective for the lesson was for students to be able to summarize what they had read and to be able to make inference using text-based evidence. I received positive comments about the lesson plan, but all of my peers were in agreement that seeing if a game enhanced comprehension strategy and vocabulary instruction would take months, and I would not see the results from one lesson. There were 4 findings that I wanted to discuss. 3 of the findings were the qualities I had found from the 3 articles. Quality online interactive games engage students in using metacognitive strategies. They effectively enhance learning, and they provide students with elaborative feedback. I also found that Ticket to Read was a program that met the standards of quality. Students use metacognitive strategies in problem solving. Problem solving takes place when playing games and when reading for comprehension. One article discussed the metacognitive use in online gaming. It discussed self-monitoring in the sense that game players need to plan, check the initial plan, and choose other strategies if the original plan fails. This is also true for comprehension strategies. Quality comprehension games will allow students to practice these strategies. In order to gauge effectiveness, teachers have to assess the quality and appropriateness of the games. In one of the articles I read, it mentioned that teachers should understand that not all games will be appropriate for the learning goals they are trying to meet. Teachers should also monitor student progress and growth when using the games to see if the game is actually helping with comprehension and vocab instruction. According to the third article I read, once interactivity has occurred, feedback is an essential component for efficient learning to occur. Feedback is essential for learning. Students need to be able to see what they are doing right or wrong and be able to correct it. They also need to be told what they can do better. Ticket to Read met all of these requirements. Students have to use metacognitive strategies like think alouds and self-monitoring to figure out what strategies work best for their comprehension. Ticket to Read allows students to practice comprehension and vocabulary skills and teaches them comprehension strategies to make them better readers. Students' progress is also monitored through the program. Students receive corrective and elaborative feedback at each step of the program. The only downside to this program is that it's not a game where students are doing something other than reading. They are not racing cars or shooting laser beams at space rocks. They don't have an opponent to beat. However, it's a game in the sense that they earn points to get prizes, and they are learning in the process. The only person they have to beat is themselves. So now what? As a teacher, I can see myself using online interactive games in reading instruction. I know that I have the knowledge to assess the programs to see if they work with my instruction. And with programs like Ticket to Read, I will be able to monitor my students' progress in comprehension. I've also learned that games like Ticket to Read should only be used to enhance instruction of comprehension strategies because students need the explicit instruction in teacher modeling to know when and how to use comprehension strategies. I'm still wondering if online interactive comprehension and vocabulary games can be used as effective forms of assessment. I'm also wondering if I can find interactive applications for smartphones and tablets that enhance comprehension strategy and vocabulary instruction. Although I still have questions, this inquiry has taught me so much about my future as a teacher. I've learned the importance of collaboration with colleagues through presenting my lesson plan and receiving feedback from my peers. I've also learned the importance of assessing the relevance of technology to personal beliefs of teaching and learning. Just because the technology is available doesn't mean it has to be utilized. Teachers should also look to make sure that technology enhances instruction and not harms their instruction. I find the idea of using online, interactive games to enhance instruction very interesting, and I really enjoyed this inquiry. I'm hoping that in the future I can apply my research and findings to actual students. I'm also hoping that I can continue my inquiry with my new wonderings. I really appreciate the time you have taken to listen to my presentation. I hope it has encouraged you to look for online interactive games to enhance your instruction. I also hope that I can answer any questions you may have about my inquiry.